And here we are in today's show. I bet you were surprised there, eh? I thought I haven't done something. I'll quickly nip out and get on with it. You were thinking I'd just disappeared completely, hadn't you?
Yeah.
Listen, cost of living crisis, eh? I mean, how can you beat the cost of living crisis? This is what we're talking about today. This is based on primarily on my wealth experience as well. We're going through this. I mean, over the last 30 years, I've looked at this and I've analysed it and I've gone through it myself, Richard. You probably go through this yourself as well. You know, everybody does it day to day, but often people spend more time planning their next holiday than they actually do looking at the circumstances and what they could actually either save money or make money on. And I really mean it about, you know, it's about saving money, it's about making money, it's about compounding that these savings and that making the money to get the end result at the end. If that makes sense. I mean, it's not about doing one big thing and thinking I've got to cut out that completely. It's just the overall impact of what you can do. I mean, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I do think it's looking at the bigger picture and looking at all these wee incremental things that you could do that over time will save you money and allow you to obviously still live your life, but obviously not overspend, and then ultimately, well, as we're going to talk about today, Jim, have money put aside to do things like invest. Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about, I mean, I did a cost of living crisis during the week, and we went into that in detail. I'd be interested to see if I can get that article again, because it's quite important to this. Do you want to kick off and see what, talk about some of the things about reevaluating? Because you had 5 top tips, Richard, about managing your money and how to do that. And I'll kind of jump in and put my own perspective on it. But I will talk about other things as well in this, in terms of what we're doing right now, and then see where it takes us from there. If you're out there, anybody that's wanting to chip in, please feel free to chip in. You know, about the cost of living crisis and about how you think about it and what you think you could save on, what you think you could make on, how you could benefit yourself and how you could beat this cost of living crisis. Because I'll tell you what, there's people out there that'll beat this quite easily.
Yeah,
I'm included, because I understand what's happening next and I understand how to combat that. And that's what we're on the show today to talk about.
Yeah. So obviously, as the show's titled, Jim, how to beat the cost of living crisis. And there is ways and means of doing that. There's ways and means of managing your money. And really to reevaluate your spending habits and look at ways where you could save money and cut back without limiting your entire living situation. But I mean, people do live out with their means, and a lot of people do. I think, and like I say, I've put together maybe like the 5 top tips for managing your money. And I think firstly, and a lot of people maybe don't get what they're entitled to. I think it's important to check that you're claiming any or all payments that you're entitled to, whether that be benefits or...
Now, this is quite interesting that you talk about this, because the people that are going to be hit, I mean, let's be honest, this is a redistribution of wealth, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is how I see it anyway. This is a redistribution. Unfortunately, it's not going from the wealthy to the poor, it's going from the poor to the wealthy. Mm-hmm. That's where it's going. That's where this cost of living crisis is happening. It is, we don't realise this is actually happening right before our eyes. And is the government going to do nothing about it? I don't think so, because I think the people pulling the strings are the people that are the super rich anyway, and the people that are actually benefiting as a result of this. So they don't want to get involved politically for this. So we're actually going to talk about boots on the ground, about the people that actually matter. It's the redistribution of wealth, and it should be really to the people that actually need it, the people that actually struggle every month. So it is people that actually, and I used to say jokingly before, there's too much month at the end of the money. In other words, they're running out of money before the end of the month comes along, and it's no fault of their own sometimes. It's just the circumstances and the hand have been dealt at that point in time. But actually what we're talking about is how to get you through that process. That is a big number of people. That is a lot of people. That is in the millions. You know, the people that are actually average income upwards, they'll survive. Because they have disposable income, and I'll talk about that throughout the show. So you're absolutely right, Richard. It's talking about get entitled to what you're actually entitled to, and don't feel ashamed to actually claim that as a result. One of the classic examples out there I've realised before is usually typically carers allowance, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it seems carers allowance, and also there's also like attendance allowance and things for obviously older people who are needing help to live independently and things. There's a lot of benefits there available for people that they don't even realise they're entitled to. So again, look at your own situation, speak to the right people. There's a lot of online advice and things as well about what
How do you start off though? What do you look for? I mean, do you go to the person that actually, I mean, because for me personally, I remember I used to have to go down to the local council office.
Yeah.
So is that what you still do? Do you go to the local council office and actually speak to them and say, look, I'm in a position like this. I mean, is there anything I'm entitled to? Can you check that? Is that something that you still do, or do you have to now do it online through Universal Credit?
You can still go to the local offices, but by appointment only. And you will only get an appointment if they deem it's necessary. A lot of it, unfortunately, is all online now. And unfortunately, for some people, maybe they're not that tech savvy and things as well. So it's maybe going to different organisations that maybe will assist you with setting up benefits properly. And there is a lot of local organisations probably in your local area that will help you do that if it's something that you're not capable of doing. Ideally, back in the day, it was walk into the local office and speak to the people at the front desk. It's changed now, obviously, and things are predominantly online. So if you've got any issues trying to do that, then speak to somebody who can assist you.
So according to The Guardian, I think it's The Guardian, they actually say attendance allowance is one of the most overlooked, and it can make a real difference in your income. It's for people who have reached state pension age and need some kind of help to live independently. Now, Age UK has more information on attendance allowance, and the website untitled.co.uk has a free calculator which you can use to find out if there are any real benefits you can claim. So I'm going to just quickly put that in the notes, Richard, while you talk a wee bit more about this.
Yeah, that's fine. If you share the links to that, Jim, then that is where people can find more information. I like you say about the attendance allowance, which is for obviously the older people who are at state pension age. And like I said previously, need some assistance who living independently. And they might not be aware that they're entitled to that. So yeah, if you could share those links, that would be good.
Okay, done that just now. So hopefully everybody will get benefit of that. So what's the other thing that we can check here then?
Next is check your tax code. If you're earning money on a payee, or check that your tax code is correct, you might.
PAYE is a classic example, isn't it? That's often the case, and I've seen it myself where I actually get a PAYE code. Excuse me. Yeah, forgot to put my phone on silent. That's one of the faux pas as usual. Okay, so PAYE code is a classic here. Now, I get nailed for it every single year. Now, I know, because I prescribe myself a set amount of income, I know I'm never going to be a high rate taxpayer ever. But for some reason, every single year, the PAYE people come back to me and say, your tax code isn't 12,000 and odd, it is now 8,000 or it's now 7,000. I'm like, that can't be possible because I've got no, I will not earn beyond the higher rate payer. So why am I getting nailed this year again? So I have to keep going back to them every single time because it means £5,000 to £6,000 of my income is taxed at the higher rate every single time. And yet I'm not, and then I have to wait for a whole year to get it back. So that's another one I get caught out on all the time. If you have things like benefits in kind, like a company car, for example, exclusively for you and only your use only, that's another one they actually deduct from your PAYE code as well. If you've got allowances that you had for maybe a mobile phone for personal for you, you've got possibly private healthcare, that's another thing that's a benefit in kind. If you've got anything like that, and you've no longer got that, again, that's adjusted in your tax code. So you can go back to the tax people and the PAYE people and actually say to them, look, I no longer have that. So could you adjust my code to actually reflect the full allowance that I should be getting in this tax year? So you're not having to wait till until the end of the year because you need it now. This is all about cash flow, Richard. This is nothing else but how much cash flow can you generate every single month in order to keep you going when the bills go up and when the prices go up as well. That's what it's for. What other things do we need to look out for?
Yeah, and I think that one that's quite important just now, and I've had a few people approach me about it, is fix your mortgage. And I think with mortgage interest rates and things changing, make sure that your borrowers who are anywhere near the end of their fixed rate, so anybody that's on a fixed rate and it's coming to an end, look to get that changed as soon as you can.
Interestingly enough, there's 11,000 mortgages in Fife that are on variable rate right now, around about 11,000. It is a golden opportunity. There is a huge amount of money being lost because you're on a variable rate mortgage. So what you should be doing is actually trying to fix that the now to give you certainty over the next period of time. Now, if you're on a variable, you're round about 5% you're paying probably right now. Fixed rate deals are still about 3%, so you're almost having that amount. On the average mortgage throughout 5, that equates to round about a £2,400 saving every single year. Now, we're talking about the average utility gas bill right now is round about the £2,500. We've just covered you for the next hike. It's almost going to be double in January. So in September, it's going up 64%. In January, apparently, it's going up again because they're doing it every quarter now. Therefore, if you fix your mortgage right now and get you a better deal right now, that is paid for that. So every single month, you won't need to worry anymore. So if you think you're all right now, you can actually shave that off by possibly about £200 extra a month just by fixing your mortgage. So let's just recap on that. You could save £200. I'm going to start taking notes about this to see where we are at the end of the month. So there's a month if you fix your mortgage, if you're on a monthly mortgage of that, and on average mortgage, it's about a £200 saving every single month. Okay, so that's that. The other thing I'd noticed before about your benefits and everything like that, check about your child tax as well, your child tax credits. Child tax credits are there as well. You can check online. You can check at the government's website to see if you're still entitled to child benefit payments. I think it's up to something like £50,000 you can have in terms of your income. If you've got anything below that, you're entitled to child benefit. If your children are under a certain age, I think if they're still at school, and possibly I think if they're still going to further education after that, you're entitled to it as well. So check on the government's website.
Yeah, as long as they're in full-time education up until they're 18.
So that's another one that you can check for. Okay. Now, you're talking about the fixed rate mortgages. You're absolutely right. Cheapest deals have all gone, but it's possible to fix it at 2.5% for 2, 5 or 10 years. It depends on what your attitude to risk is, doesn't it? Really? Yeah. If you want complete certainty, how much would you want to fix it for? I mean, you personally, Richard, what would you fix yours for?
I just last year I just fixed my own mortgage, 2.9% for 5 years.
Good deal. Now, I've got a variable rate, but it's a tracker, and the 130,000 I've got in my mortgage of my house, and it's an interest only, so I'm quite fortunate. So it's actually jumped from about £150 a month to £300 a month now. So it's almost doubled in that time. The interest rates have started going up. Now, to be honest, £300 in the scope of things is less than a one-bedroom property to rent. And, you know the size of my house. So it's not exactly a bank breaker for me. But you can see how that's jumped up. And now it's another £150 more every single month than I thought I would pay before. I expected that. I'm okay with that. I know the renewal will be coming up soon because I'm in that tracker rate deal. And it should be next May that then comes out. So I'm quite happy to live with that. That's me because I know my cash flow and I know what's coming in and going out. So absolutely right. The longest deals currently have the lowest rates. If you have 6 months or less left, you might be able to lock in a new deal which you can move straight to when your current period fixed rate period or your current period expires. That is true though, isn't it? Yes. Don't wait for it to expire. Actually do it way beforehand.
Yeah, and I had a conversation with someone the other day who's due to their fixed rate that they're currently on. It's got a few months left, but I was like, now is the time for you to start speaking to an advisor and look for a better deal. Yeah,
and Andrea makes a good point here, actually. It would be fantastic this sort of information could be taught to kids before they leave school. The government relies on people's ignorance. I've got to agree with that 100%, really. They tell you time and time again, we're trying to tell as much people as possible, but you're not really pushing out that much. You are relying on people's ignorance, so you don't claim it. So you obviously have money to claw back for the years after the budget you've allocated for that year. So I've no doubt about that. Again, is it cynical? Nah, I think everybody universally agrees that is the case. What's your next one for here then?
Next one would be get cash back on your spending. Now,
how could you get cash back on your spending then?
Well, if you look at things like credit cards, debit cards, if that's something that you use a lot, you get some of these money back schemes as you spend. There's several cashback credit cards in the market.
You actually get deals out there, credit cards that will actually give you cash back on when you spend.
Yeah, Lloyds do it. They offer 0.25% cash back on your first £4,000 worth of spending. And then
each year then, or each month?
It'll go up to 0.5 after that. But that's on your first £4,000 worth of spending. You'll get 0.25% cash back as you spend.
And that's each year.
Yes.
Because I was thinking if that's each month, I'll change all my bills. Right?
No.
I'll pay everything with my credit card if that's the case. When you think about the logic of this, let me think about this, right? Okay, let me look at this and let me do 4,000.
So 4,000. That a great, obviously.
Right. But listen, this is all about tallying up.
Yeah.
Well, let's just do a quick calculation. I just want to make sure 4,000 times 0.0025. It's no brilliant. It's no fantastic times 100. Is it 0.25 over £4,000 times 0.0025? It's only 10 quid a year.
That's
not really as little as that. But, well, that's £1 a month. There's £1 a month on the list.
But if that's on the credit card side, if you look at debit cards, there are several banks, including Lloyd's, that offer cash back on spending at selected retailers. And
I tell you what though, that doubles to £2 a month if you're doing more than £4,000 a year.
Yeah.
So we'll give that credit £2 a month.
Sorry.
What else have we got then? Cash back and spending, debit cards. Let me talk about debit cards.
Debit cards obviously is a bit better. At selected retailers, you will get up to like about 15% on each purchase. Check which ones do that, obviously. And opt in to getting that benefit if you're using your debit card quite a lot in certain retailers and stores. Chase Bank have a current account which is offering 1% cash back on your spending over the year. And that's available like on their apps and things. You could apply for that. So as I said at the beginning, it's not a great saving, but it's a saving all the same.
I tell you what though, Andrea, maybe you could share information about who you were actually using with your credit card, but she said she got £1,000 back on a £13,000 credit card spend. That's a good deal. So there's obviously money. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of credit cards. However, if you use them wisely and understand how to use them and disciplined enough, because this is what they rely on. With credit cards, they rely on you not paying that amount every month. So I use a personal credit card to obviously get bookings for hotels and stuff like that. But every single time I've put it on the credit card, I use the credit card in case anything goes wrong, then I've got comeback against whatever it is I bought. That's why I use the credit card. So I get reimbursed for it because that's how credit cards work rather than debit cards. But I discipline myself every time I spent on the credit card, then to transfer the money immediately onto my credit card from my bank.
I think as well to be wary of with credit cards, if you are using a credit card and people get into this situation where they have got so much interest to pay on it, their payments are only paying the interest and you're just kind of treading water. Do a balance transfer onto something with 0% interest, and then that'll allow you to clear a credit card off if you're in that position.
Yeah, and again, it's the biggest debt to go for when you're actually paying debt off is the one with the highest interest rate.
Yes.
If you can't get rid of it, that's the one to go for if you're starting to eat into it because it has the most impact on you. Also, the one that you'd want to go for is the one that has the most cash flow you've got to pay every single month. So if you've got to, for example, because cash flow is king in this scenario. Okay, this is the most important thing. So you want to go every single month to try and cut back so you've got enough more cash in your hand every single month. It might mean you have to defer the liability and actually pay a lot more over a longer period of time. But the cash flow is probably more important to you in the short term because you need it to survive. You do not want to run out of money before the end of the month. And this is what we're actually trying to tell people right now. So I'm telling you based on my own personal circumstances and how I started out when I first started out 30 years ago in doing this. So you're absolutely right, Richard. You can sometimes get up to 15% of the purchase on some debit cards.
Yeah,
that's a huge amount. Is there any people actually, are the best deals to go for? Any cards or any companies?
Yeah, I think obviously I said about the Chase Bank current account, which is offering 1% cash back and things. But Santander, and you'll have seen the adverts and things, their 123 account. Now, this is really relevant, obviously, to the current situation, is that it offers cash back on household bills that are paid with direct debit. And that includes your council tax, includes your energy payments and things. But it does come with a monthly fee. So before you consider switching and things, make sure that the rewards are not offset by these fees that are
Yeah, that is it. Because the monthly fee could be £10, but the reward you're getting is maybe £5. So you're actually paying an extra. And it's like they do all these glossy things like, oh, but we'll include things like travel insurance, and we'll include everything else, and we'll include membership of the RAC. And it's and you kind of think to yourself, I'll be honest, Richard, I get caught out with these things once in a blue moon. But then I go back after sorting something out, and I thought, wait a minute, I could have got this through this. And I never realised I had it. So they actually rely again on what the government does, is the ignorance of the fact that you don't remember you've actually bought into this. But at the time, it sounded like a great idea, and that's why you buy into it. So these are actually opportunities to actually save money. Or if you've got stuff going on right now, if you've got a bank account which gives you all these huge benefits, but you've got to pay £12 a month for it, actually reconsider, is that actual bank account worth it? Because it's £12 a month in your pocket. And I'll add that on to my monthly savings so far. So bank account switch, probably about £12 a month. You would pay for a normal subscription to get these glossy insurance. Now, see, family insurance for holidays. You might have not even be going on holiday this year now because of the current circumstances. You might think we're going to be cutting back. We don't need insurance. So therefore, do you really need the subscription to that bank account? And I mean, it's these ones that gives you all these benefits, but you're not really going to use them. It just sounds nice if you want to use them. So there's £12 a month you could potentially save, or whatever that costs for that amount. So there's £12 so far for the bank account. So for the debit card as well. And what other things could we look on? Have we got any rebate systems and anything like that?
So obviously the fifth one for me is to make sure that you've got your £150 rebate for your council tax. Now, you'll all have seen that on your new statement. It should have been. Well, I've seen it on mine, and I've asked others to make sure. But make sure
you're band F or something.
Yeah. Well, if you're in band A to D, it'll obviously come off your bill. And so if you're A to D property for council tax, and it qualifies for the £150 rebate. Now, the government promised energy customers, so make sure you have received that money. And it should be, you know how you get your letters through for the council at the start of the year for your council tax. You'll have noticed that it'll be slightly less, and over the period of the year, that adds up to your £150. And it should.
So is this different from the energy utility like reductions we're getting? You know, where there's £400. I mean, that's extra, isn't it? As well.
Yeah, this is different. If you pay your council tax by direct debit, you should have arrived. It should have arrived in your account by now. But the way they work it is, it gets taken off gradually throughout the year. So your annual bill for your council tax will be £150 less.
So that's a £12. That's a £12.50 saving every month then.
Yes.
And then you've got your £400 from the government, which they're going to do. So the 400 divided by 12 is another 30. That's another £33 a month.
Well, and remember again that obviously you have to be in band A to D to get the 150, and the 400 for your energy, it is all down to obviously whether you qualify or not. So they will obviously assess your current situation and see whether you're eligible for that 400.
So far, between a monthly savings on, if you've got a variable rate mortgage, if you're using a credit card or a debit card, if you've got a bank account which you no longer really need because you're paying a subscription for these things. I'm talking about the RBS royalties or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, they're usually quite costly to run, and you don't really get the benefit as such. You've got a council tax reduction of £12.50 a month. You've got the government energy of £33 a month with the £400 cash back, or we're getting a discount on our bills. So we're 200. We're at 200, 214, 214. So 214 plus 12 plus 33. We're at about £260 saving so far.
Yeah.
So that's 150 rebate and all the rest of it. So let's talk about day-to-day expenses.
Yeah.
This is where it is. If you have loans out for your car right now, this is the things you've got to look at. This is what I looked at in the beginning. So if you've got loans out, like unsecured loans, because a loan for your car payments isn't technically a loan. It's not a secured loan. So it's not secured on your house or anything like that. It's just an unsecured loan. So it's usually for buying cars. It's usually for something else. So look at your loan payments and speak to your provider if you need to actually move that out a bit further and alleviate your position. So what I did in the early days is I looked at, I think I had 3 loans at the time. Now, this was when I was at college, when I was a student, and Elaine was the only person working. And I deduced in the next 5 years, I'm going to be having a job anyway, so I'm going to be able to pay that money off. So we'll have double the income coming in with Elaine and I working together. So that'll be an additional income coming in. But now, when I'm at college, I couldn't afford to. Well, we could afford, but we're really on the breadline. I mean, I was at the point of actually raking the ashtrays to look for dupes and to roll up cigarettes, and I was on the tea leaves and everything like that, and anything that I could smoke in order to alleviate my habit at the time. That was years ago, by the way, 30 years ago, 35 years ago. So at that time, that's the breadline I was on. But I did look at the loans, and then I thought to myself, how much is it going to cost to pay off that loan? And I think it was under the Consumer Credit Act. So it said you had to pay a certain amount. So I went to the provider and I says, how much is it going to cost to settle that loan? They gave me a figure it would cost to settle the loan. And it was maybe £300 a month for that loan. So I had a cost to settle that loan. And then there was another loan. It was another £250 I was paying. So I was having £550 in loans to pay out every month. And then I had my mortgage, which was at that time, it was around about 350 quid again. So I was outlaying the 550 plus my mortgage 350, which is which is £900 every month in payments. And then I thought to myself, how could I take these loans and actually push them out a bit more and maybe get them on one big loan? So the £900 every month got down to maybe about a £500 or £450 payment. So I'd have £450 cash every single month extra over and above to survive on over that 5-year period I was taking these loans out of. And then when it came to me working, then we would sort it out from there. So again, that's another opportunity I used to. Now, you've got to look at the numbers first and work out if that's viable for you, because there's a lot of consolidated debt people in the past that have popped up. And they went, we can consolidate your debt. And that was at the credit crunch. That was a classic example. And people went, oh, I'm going to consolidate my debt. But what they didn't realize is they added on astronomical charges to their bill and in order to do the consolidation of the debt. And that was more debt on top of the debt. And it ended up worse overall. So you can go straight to providers and say that. So that's another way to consolidate in order to make the cash flow payment every single month a lot less. And you could often make that about half the amount over a longer period. But speak to someone. Now, there is agencies online, the government agency, I can't remember who it was, but there's proper government agencies online you can actually go to. So if you look up loan consolidation with the government, the UK government, then they will have advice lines online for that purpose. Okay? So that's one of the ways. Now it comes down to the nitty-gritty of the marginal gains. So marginal gains, what I talk about is look at your current day-to-day expenditure. And I really mean get your bank statement out and start trawling through them. Now, what is the things you would go for? Where is the luxury items that most people will have now, Richard? What do you think?
Do you know, and I would pick them out of my own bank statement. It's probably Domino's pizza, deliveries, things that are really not necessary to be ordering food. Some leisure things as well. I think we spoke about in the midweek show about the leisure outlay.
How much? Let's go through nitty-gritty. How much do you spend on takeaways every week?
No, you've got me. Well, I've become a lot better at it, but I know that I mean, you could be anywhere between about £40-50 sometimes.
Wow. And when you think about that, if that's every week, what is that in a month? That's about 200 to 250 quid, isn't it?
I stopped doing that. I limit myself to one, but I've not actually had one in the last week, so that's fine.
Yeah. But on average,
so
it's a classic, isn't it? So the fast food thing, they eat now. Now I know because we did a cost of living crisis. Will it be the end of the boom of the property market?
Yeah.
We did that during the week last week, and it was deduced that the average income on people with their what we call luxury items had actually moved up from 10% in 1989 to 15% of their monthly income on leisure activities. So there's a huge amount. Now, that's 15% of their income, and the average income we were basing at the time was actually £611.60 per week.
Yeah.
So multiply that by 0.05, and you're getting another £33 a week. So another £33 a week, you could bring that down by 5%, down to the 10% it was originally. And even you've got the 10% there, which is another, guess what? It's another £66. There's almost £100 we spend on leisurely items every single week. £100 a week. That's almost £500 a month that we spend on leisurely items. How much can you cut that back? Even if you cut it back maybe 20% of the £100 a month, you're around a £20 a month saving just in leisure, just by cutting back by 20. Now you can find that. Just don't go out for that one occasion. Maybe go. I mean, look at classic examples of leisure activities. What would you spend leisure activities on? Maybe a day out somewhere.
Yeah, a day out. Even if it's, I mean, there's, like we say, there's been a surge in families and things doing leisurely activities, but even if it's down to like the swimming pool or going to the pictures, and then but the pictures isn't just the pictures now, it's a meal and then the pictures and then maybe drinks after, or kind of like fun maybe.
The pictures cost an absolute arm and a leg. You know how I look at it, right? I'll go straight online to Amazon and I'll get it Prime and I'll pay the 14 quid to hire the thing online, and I'll watch the picture at home, because I've got my own popcorn, I've got my own juice, I don't need to get in the car and travel there. And I couldn't care less. That's a huge offset against the benefit of seeing in a surround sound environment. It's like people have got good enough televisions nowadays to actually get that full encompassing, all singing, all dancing experience. So there's another thing that you could actually, if you did that once a month and you stopped that, you're saving yourself probably about £100.
Yeah. Well, the big cinemas, just now, I mean, they're just extortionate, like really expensive. We've got some of the smaller local ones that aren't too bad, but.
So let's look at this. Local ones are a bit better because they're obviously easier to travel with. So go to the local one rather than the actual big cinema. Yes. So the local one will possibly be about half that price, won't it be?
Yeah.
So immediately you've gone from 100 to 50, and then you're not traveling anymore. So you're probably saving another 60 quid a month if you're doing once a month at the cinema. Okay. So there's once a month with the cinema. And then you rent it, or you could even rent it online, so you make it even more saving than actually going to the local cinema. So you get that experience. So there's another benefit there as well. Netflix.
Yeah.
Do you really need that Netflix, all singing, all dancing, high definition subscription? What is it, £16 or something now?
I don't know, because it's included with my Sky package.
But there you go, isn't it? So how much is your Sky package?
I'm £63 a month.
Kim, I've got council TV. Your Sky package is the same price as my broadband, which I've got 1 gigabyte of broadband data, so I can stream everything live online. Now I'll be honest, Richard, we have Netflix and we have a family one, but we all chip into it. So literally I'm that tight that I actually only pay about £4 towards it, and the boys pay a contribution towards it as well. So that's why we have that package. But if you really want to cut back on that, you can cut back on the all singing, all dancing subscription and put it down to the basic subscription.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a quick look while you talk about Sky.
Well, my Sky package, actually, I used to be Virgin Media. Virgin Media for about 10 years because of their broadband speed and things. And at one point, it was up at about £90 odd a month, and I'm just like, this is crazy. And I didn't want to change to Sky because of I didn't know if their connection was going to be that good. And obviously, we do a lot of work and things at home, and we need a good internet connection. So I changed to Sky. Now that's included. I've got the extra large TV package, and I've got the internet as well, and a phone line, which would come with it anyway, for £63. And I fixed that for a couple of years, or 18 months or something, which I think is not too bad. And the internet connection's been good. So I did actually change that from a higher bill that I had. So I did do a saving there. But I mean, in all honesty, do I watch the TV or normal channels? No.
Yeah.
I've also got Amazon Prime, so I watch that as well.
There's Netflix there. Look, if you're on the premium $15.99, you can boot that right down to the basic of $6.99. You can still get the same stuff as you're getting just now. So you're making a saving every single month of £9.
Yeah.
There's another £9. So we can assume if you're on Sky or anything else, then you can make that savings as well. So there's a classic example about another £9. Netflix.
I've got another one that's quite good as well, and I've actually been implementing myself as
I've got Amazon,
yeah.
but it's business orientated. So I'm quite lucky. I've got Amazon that goes online with the business. So therefore it's tax deductible. And I get the benefit of listening, of watching Amazon online as well, because I've got the Amazon Prime as part of the business. So again, that's a nice tax efficient way to do it. If you've got a self-employed business, then put it through your business, because that's what you get for your deliveries. You've got another one there, Richard.
Yeah, what I started, I've surprised myself with this, is grabbing lunch every day. I was spending about between £5 and sometimes even £7 on lunch. Let's just go for £5 a day, for example, 5 days a week. Over a month, you're talking £100, and really, I could be making lunch and bringing it with me, or do you know what I mean, rather than spending every day.
So how much would it cost you to make your lunch every day? Probably £1.
Yeah, if we're doing it at home, £1.50, something like that.
So £1 a day, and you're spending how much a day? 7.
Between 5 and 7, but we'll say 5.
Let's say 5. We'll take 4 as the benefit. So 4 times 5 is 20 quid a month. There's 80 quid a month on lunches. So there's 80 quid a month you've saved. So we've talked about Netflix. We've talked about Sky. And we're going to assume that Netflix is £9 a month. We're going to talk about the cinema. We've done that. We've talked about takeaways. And we've never really got into takeaways. We've never really assessed what that is. Takeaways themselves, I mean, what about restaurant dining?
Yeah. I mean, restaurant dining isn't something that I do a lot of, but I mean, it would have to be an occasion to think, like, okay, right, we'll go and have a meal somewhere, a birthday or something to that effect.
Yep.
I wouldn't just up on a Friday night and go out for something to eat just for the sake of it. I'm too busy to do that.
We have a habit of doing this now, just, at weekends. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like, I tell you what, it adds up. When you get out. I mean, Tony went to Edinburgh to an event, and went to Pizza Hut, and there's like just the two of them. It was like 45 quid. It's like, what? I would have bought something off a street trader and sat in Princess Street Gardens. But that's another one that you could actually save on, isn't it? The things that you do in your leisure, in terms of what you're doing. So again, that's the takeaways thing is a big thing. Takeaways for me, maybe once a week. If you really wanted to do without it, you're probably saving, for us, it's 30 quid a week. So once a week.
About 20, 30 pounds.
So that's probably about £100 a month in takeaways. Okay. So far we've got the 260, and then we've got leisure activities, which is 20 quid saving. We've got the cinema, which is 60 quid saving. We've got Netflix, 9 quid saving. We've got takeaways, 100 quid saving. We've got lunches during the day. We've got 80 quid saving. So we're now from 260 plus 20 plus 60 plus 100 plus 80. We're on 520 so far. Restaurant dining, if you really want to cut out on it, we'll leave that out because we talked about takeaways and all the rest of it. We'll probably say we'll include that. I even go to the local golf club because the golf club is about half the price of any other bill.
And the food's amazing.
And the food's great as well. So that's us personally. So we've looked at that. We've looked at takeaways. What about is there anything?
There's one more. There's one more that I've got rid of, and it's I'll not name it, but my coffee every day was costing me about £3.80.
Is that not included in your lunches then? So that's over and above?
That's over and above.
Wow. So that's every day as well. So if you then just didn't bother about that, there's 5 times 50.
I went and got a coffee machine instead.
That's £1,000 a year.
Oh, didn't say that to me.
Now, your coffee machine, how much does that cost you then? Because you have to take that.
The coffee machine was £99. I got it on sale for £44.99.
So we take off £44.99, so 45 quid. We're at 943.
And then a box of the pods.
How much is a pod a day?
Well, it's £3.90 for 10, I believe.
So £3.90 is 39 pence a pod.
Yeah.
So we could just say 50 pence. So 50 pence, divide that by 52 divided by 5 equals that. So we'll say 60 pence to round it up. So you're still saving £3 a day over 5 days times 52, which is 780 quid. Divide that by 12. You're making 65 quid saving a day on your coffee. A month. 65 quid a month.
Yeah.
on your coffee if you saved that.
Because I even tried to download the app because it's like, oh, you do so many drinks and you get the free one, but you need to buy about 10. So it's
Okay. So
give up on that.
can we look at anything else? What about household bills? What about energy bills? I mean, is that kind of written off? But we're not really going to save anything on that. The only thing you can save on that is actually
Your usage.
to cut back on your usage, isn't it?
Yeah. I think a lot of we've got a lot of stuff that sits on standby, things that are continually running. The one we spoke about recently, Jim, was a lot of people have been and bought a fan, and everybody's looking at how much the fan is costing to run. And it is quite a nominal amount, but you think if you're running that, I mean, the heat that we've had recently and what we're due to get this week, you're running it continuously, it will add up.
Well, a kilowatt hour is something like, I can't mind if it's something
34 pence.
Is it 34 pence? Okay.
34 pence, I think, or something. To run the fan for so many hours, I think it was. I can't remember.
Okay, that's quite well. That adds up, doesn't it? There's another way to do this as well. Is like instead of constantly having your heating coming on and going off, you could actually switch off and do it manually when you actually need it. The hot water as well. That's another one. Instead of taking a bath, you take a shower instead. If you've got an electric shower, then it's perfect for that. If it's mains fed, thermostatic, then have the shower. So in and out of the shower, literally the savings for that would be astronomical every single day if you're having a bath every day.
Yeah. Also, as the winter comes in, I think if you look at the regulating temperature in each room, we don't all sit in all the rooms. So why heat your whole house when you're sat in one or two rooms? Use the radiators, thermostats to regulate the temperature in each room so that only the rooms that you're using are being heated. I think people in bigger houses and things as well will really feel the benefit if they actually manage that correctly. Yeah.
I'm trying to actually see if there's anything in here that says a 5-minute shower can be a third of the water of a bath. So, you know, you're talking about a 5-minute shower, a third the water of a bath. That's simply energy advice. I'm going to actually put that on because that's an organisation. I'm just going to put that on. And you might Energy Saving Trust Scotland is probably a better one. Saving Trust Scotland. Here we go. Energy Saving Trust is a classic here. Copy, and we'll put that into the comments. Energy Saving Trust is a great site to give you more insight into your energy savings. Now, we can't really quantify that in numbers, but I do know since your household income, rent and mortgage, give me 2 seconds so I'll see where we did this. Electricity. Electricity was 6% of household income in 1989 compared to 4.81 in 2021. Now, it'll obviously have gone up a bit more, although that's what we saw before the recent energy hike itself. So it's almost comparable to what it's always been. But interestingly enough, you know, it isn't a huge proportion of your income in terms of what it is. So what is the ones to go for? It's really the mortgages and it's really your leisure. It's the first thing to suffer, isn't it? In times of desperation, it's the luxury items. Start cutting back on the luxury items. Now, my top tip, if you're locked into a deal with Sky or Netflix or Amazon and you've got subscription payments and you're locked in for a year, still go back to them and say, look, you know the cost of living crisis is biting just now. I'm looking for some sort of help just now to get through this because I'll have to cancel my subscription. Now, they might say you can't cancel, but I don't think they're going to do that. What they normally do is they actually give you a discount for maybe a 6-month period in order to keep you on as a current subscriber. So after the 6 months, it goes back up to the normal rate. So they'll give you a discount temporarily if you go back to them and say you're struggling with your payments and you're struggling with the cost of living crisis. You can do that every single time. Do you know how I know that? Because I've done it. And they don't want to lose subscribers. They're not bothered about the top line income. They're more bothered about the subscriber base because that's what influences their share price. So as long as they can keep you as a subscriber and keep you on their books, even though they're giving you a discount. Now, the RAC and the AA do exactly the same thing. Oh, I'll give you a discount this year, or I'll give you a suspension this year. You don't need to pay anything. We'll roll it on to next year and you still stay a member because they desperately need you as a member. So that's another way to save money on what you're currently doing. So again, you can get discounts on these people. Netflix is a classic example. I'm on this package. Can I reduce it to that package? Yeah, absolutely. And we'll still keep in the same package, but we'll give you a discount for that 6-month period. They're losing subscribers hand over fist. Their share price is dropping like a stone, so they want to keep you on their books, so they don't want to lose you. So go back to them and say to them, even send an email or call them and say, look, I'm needing to look at this because it's going to cost me a lot of money to actually keep this subscription on. So they want to save on that. Big ticket items is definitely the housing, food and fuel combined. Now, this has actually gone down from 41% to 37% of household income since 1989. But they're still the really good ones to go for. You don't need your Weetabix and you don't need your Heinz baked beans. Let's be honest. If it means suffering in the short term because you've not got your branded product, for God's sake, don't go for your branded product, right? Because this small saving you can make, because your food bill is a huge proportion when you look at it. It is probably about 20% of your take-home pay.
Do you know,
if you can save 2% on that, so if food bill is, for example, and your average is 611 every week and it's 20%, that means your food bill every week is going to be £122. Now, if you can save 20% on that by buying own branded products, you're talking about £24 a week saving, and multiply that £24 a week by 52 divided by 12 gives you another £104 a month. Richard, what brands should we be going for?
Yeah, do you know what? I mean, I don't like to use names, but I will anyway, because I'll give you a good example. Now, we only shop for 2 people, so it's not a family. But just to give you an example, Morrison's. If I go in and do a shop in Morrison's, you're easily about, I think the last time I was about £72, and I thought, God.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't always buy all the branded stuff and everything. Do you know, I went into Lidl and done about the same shop, and it cost me 43.
Yeah.
So there's nearly about £20 of difference. I did have Weetabix in there.
You don't need branded products, do you?
I did have Weetabix in there because I like Weetabix, but I could eat the normal. Ones.
But what Lidl's do is they put Weetabix in their mix, okay?
Yeah.
But they it's a branded product, but they put it as a loss leader to get you in the door, because it is a staple for most people and they'll go for it. So they get you in the door and they get you to buy all their other stuff, which is their own branded goods. Yeah. Now, do you know the basics? The basics line. Tesco's is a classic example. Now, this is how most supermarkets think. They have the basics line, which is just the red stripes and white stripes. Okay, and they've got Tesco's basic. Then they have the Tesco's own brand, which is their Tesco's own brand.
Yeah.
Then they have the branded products. But they position the Tesco's own brand, and this is what they all do, just above the basics package. Now, it's almost exactly the same as the basic package, but they know most consumers don't want to reach down to the fact that they want to buy the basics because they feel embarrassed. So they'll pay that wee bit extra. They know by psychology, they'll pay that wee bit extra to get the Tesco's own brand. But the Tesco's own brand is exactly the same as the basics. It's just in different packaging.
And it's funny you say that. Yeah.
And they're higher margin. It's higher margin, Richard. It makes a lot more money for them. But guess what it does as well? Is it advertises them every time you take it out of the cupboard. And that's to get you onto the Tesco's own brand. They don't want you to go for the branded. They want you to get the upgrade from the basics to their own branded, because it makes them a lot more money and gets them a lot more advertising. So go possibly for the basics. Take advantage of that. Look at on the back. Look at the classic example here. Paracetamol, ibuprofen, or whatever it's called. You know, all these different ones. If you look at paracetamol for Lemsip, for example, and you have their paracetamol, right? Theirs is something like £5 for 16 sachets, or whatever it is, 5 sachets. And then you look at the own branded products, it's exactly the same ingredients as Lemsip, but it's a fraction of the price. I buy literally, you buy 16 paracetamols, right, for like 35 pence.
39 pence or something, yeah.
So there's a huge saving, and it's exactly the same contents. You just like going for the branded because you feel that's a respected thing, and it is actually a lot better, but it's not. It's exactly the same thing. If you turn them around and look at the ingredients, they're exactly the same ingredients. Yeah. So that's another one, and that's why I'm convinced that anybody that pays maybe 120 quid a week on their food shopping can possibly shave 100 quid off every single month on their food bill. And I defy them to tell me different. And I could show them different if they really want me to. because I've done it before. Again, that's another one to go for. What else have you got, Richard, on your list about what you're thinking?
Just to recap on what you said this morning, there was a really interesting article this morning that I read, and it was about Asda's doing their basic range, and they've changed the packaging, and it's yellow. It's yellow boxes and packaging.
Yeah.
And there was a big hoo-ha about people not wanting it because it's too prominently obvious that they're buying then cheaper products, and it's just crazy because what they did was they looked at what was in it, and it's just the exact same as the neighbouring products. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, why would you be embarrassed about saving money, basically? But yeah, there's just about, obviously we're talking about packaging and what was actually in it.
Because they deliberately design it so you are embarrassed about saving money like that. And that's why you will go for their own branded product, because it doesn't look so basic.
Yeah.
So far, we've got 520 plus 65 plus 100. We're at a savings of £685 a month so far. That is more than the average weekly wage right now, every single month. So that's about 25% more you've got as a result of what we're doing. Let me recap. Saving on your mortgage, getting a credit card or a debit card, it will actually save you money on your spend. In other words, if you use it properly.
Yeah.
If you've got a bank subscription and you pay every single month to get that bank deal, your royalties account with Royal Bank, really assess, do you really need it? You've got your council tax saving that you're getting right now, so make sure you're getting that for up to band A to D. You've got your energy saving that you're getting off the government, the £400, which is £33 a month. You've got your leisure savings, so you can cut back on your leisure bill, which is on average 15% of your take home, which you could probably save about £20 on your leisure. You can cut back on your cinema if you're going to the cinema every month, or you don't go to the local cinema possibly. I'm only giving you suggestions about what to do, but you could possibly saving yourself £60 a month and doing that without all the different things. Your Netflix, you can actually get a discount on that, or your Sky, you can get a discount on that. Do you really need all the broadband you need? Do you really need 1 gigabit of broadband? Or can you actually cut back on that? Again, the broadband providers, if you go back to them and say, I'm struggling because of the cost of living crisis, they go, oh, yeah, okay, we'll keep you on. We'll give you a discount for a 6-month period. We're only needing it for the short term. That's all, because this will be over in about a year or 2 years. This inflation will begin to level off again, and it will come back down. Because it can't. It's like house prices. Like house prices have grown over the last 2 or 3 years, but it won't be sustainable all the time, because then it's up to that level and people are at that level of spending. So it absorbs that amount of money, and then people cut back as a result. Your takeaways, you can possibly be saving about £100 a month on that for people that are doing takeaways all the time. And obviously, you talk about your lunches at your work, Richard, going out to get your lunch and buying your lunch rather than doing anything else. So you can cut back £80 a month on that. Then your coffees, again, you're saying you're getting a coffee and that's in the morning. So then and you've got your pod, so you're saving £65 a month on that. And then there's a food bill as well, which you're saving another £100 on, because you're using own branded products and you're going for basic products and you're not going for branded products as well. And then you're cutting back on things like luxuries. Go round to a supermarket and make sure you go round after you've had your dinner or after you've had lunch.
Don't shop hungry. That's
do not, on any case or point, go round when you're hungry, for God's sake. Because I tell you what, there's times that I go in for a loaf of bread and I come out with 50 quid of messages. Yeah, messages is a Scottish thing for your shopping, by the way. And if anybody's out there listening, what's messages? It's like messages is a Scottish phrase.
I made a point of saying cinema earlier after we showed the pictures, because the pictures to us is obviously the cinema.
So there's all these different things. And I've not even taken into account of refinancing your loans and making sure you can get a saving over and above that, which could potentially push out to give you an extra cash flow of about £300 extra a month if you've got a couple of loans, which you can actually push out if it's a big payment every single month that you're making on unsecured loans, maybe for a car or that, which you can actually refinance onto a different type of package. So potentially there, you could be saving probably around about £1,000 a month.
There's ways and means to do it.
Yeah, and I defy anybody. Now that's over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and possibly 12 different things. Now that is a huge saving. And so when you look at this and you look at this small saving that you need to think, well, it's only a couple of quid. But then a couple of quid compounded over these weeks and over that month and over that year, and all these different couple of quids put together, Richard, as you said in your original article, and then combine it with the things that you said at the beginning, the 5 top tips for managing your money, which was make sure you're entitled to all your claiming, check your tax code, fix your mortgage, get cash back on the spending, which we've built in, make sure you get your 150 rebate, which we've built into that savings as well. So these are all different things. 8 simple ways to save money. Record your expenses. Include savings in your budget. Put money aside for a rainy day that you need. Find ways of cutting the spend. This is another one as well. How to get an increase. It's not about savings as well. How to get an increase from your employer. Take on a lot more work. It's normally not part of your normal day-to-day routine. Then justify that you're doing that work. Then approach your employer and say, look, I'm doing extra resources over and above what I'm normally doing. Is there a chance you could actually give me a pay review based on these circumstances? Most employers will look at that seriously and say, yeah, you're possibly right. We'll maybe look at upgrading you when the time comes, or possibly we might give you that increase. Richard, you'll be doing that next week, won't you? But it's true. It's a way I've always used over a period of time where I've actually got my employers to pay a bit more to me as a result, or when it came to a pay review to get that as well. That's one classic way to do it. If you want more information on how to do this and how to do that, we're more than happy to do private Zoom sessions on telling people in more depth and detail how to get a wage rise and a salary rise out of your employer without going the usual thing and going, it's the cost of living crisis, I want more money. It's like, that doesn't wash. It's how to justify that. So your employer, the key here is you can justify that. So it as, and when you do it is you justify that as so much of a strength to the employer that they actually realize to replace you is going to cost a hell of a lot more money than to actually be keeping you. And that's how you get that salary rise in your package. So we've actually demonstrated how to get almost £1,000 worth of savings every single month. Some of them might apply to you, some of them might not. But I tell you what, it's a good few £100. And also how to make even a bit more money as well on top of that, by justifying to your employer that you're doing something over and above your normal day-to-day duties, and start to take that work on as well. I've done it all my times. Every single job I've gone to, I even got to a point where I actually finished with my job, and the next job I moved to was actually double the salary with a company car. Mm-hmm. Because I'd done so much for my previous employer, they didn't have anywhere for me to go from there, Richard. There was no more upgrade of that, so they couldn't justify. You paid what the job's worth, remember? So that's all it was. But they didn't have anywhere to go. But I was able to use these skills I'd actually acquired and actually move to my next job and actually get double the salary overnight. Mm-hmm. And that's another way to do it. So don't be afraid to do that, especially in a business, in an environment where the number of people chasing the number of jobs is actually a lot less. Therefore, the demand for your skills from people is a lot more. Into being. So you are worth a lot more. And we've always said this, Richard, how much am I worth then? Well, it's not how much you're worth, it's how much the job's worth and what the job is to you. So if you see a job, you think, oh, I could do that job, but then you see the salary and think, oh, I'm not worth that salary, you've got your thinking wrong. You need to get a checkup from the neck up and actually start getting yourself thinking right. And that's the key here, overall. And that's my final words on this. Richard, you can close off here as we finish off. Yeah,
I just think, I mean, a lot of good information there. I think I know I've included a lot of what I've done recently to save money, but there's so much more that could be done. And if you need any more information, please just let us know. Drop in the comments or message us direct.
If you want us to go into more details, this is my final thoughts on this, and you want another show like this, and you want us to talk about specific things about how you can save money, what you can do, how you can put it across, and how you can say it, we're more than happy to give you all these scripts to do that. More than happy. Until next week, guys, for the Wealth Creation Show, it's bye-bye from me and Richard, for you as well.
Yeah, goodbye, guys.
Bye the now, guys.